All right, g'day, hi, and welcome. Just got back from ride number 27. I was going to make this video when I was out and about, but it's a little too hot today, and I got to get out of this thing pretty soon. So I'm going to try to keep it as short as I can. But how often should you wax your chain? Today I'm right past the probably, say, 160 kilometers-ish. Roughly around 150 kilometers around here I usually have to wax the chain, but that is a bit of a loaded question because it depends how much you ride, the conditions. If you ride in a lot of dust, you probably have to wax your chain a little bit more. If you really dry conditions and no debris whatsoever, you might get away a little bit longer. But I would say on average conditions, probably about 150 clicks or say 100 miles, every 100 miles or so. Or if you're going to go on a big trip that day, just give it a quick shot. Some people are like, oh, my bike is running rough, my bike is running rough, my bike is running rough. And they don't realize that the reason why it's rough, your bike is actually running fine, but the chain is rough. And you'll notice a night and day difference. Just a couple little squirts of chain wax. You usually get about a can out of for a year or whatever. Can make a big difference, especially on a longer ride. You don't have as much vibration through the handlebars, which becomes, everything, like I say, becomes a distraction when you're riding a motorcycle. So vibrations become distractions and stuff like that. So anything of that stuff you can eliminate, it's a good idea. Now, the thing is that, it's your mileage is going to vary. If you're riding in the rain a lot, you might want to, after every rain or just if you know it's going to rain, give it a wax. Just a couple little shots. You don't have to douse the chain every time, but it's also a good idea to clean the chain, then wax it, depending on the dust. But if you're in a really dusty area, it's a good idea. For me, I'm not too bad. I'm somewhere in between. My driveway's dusty, but I get away with it. But typically, I start to notice the chain, the roughness in the chain, feedback through the handlebars. Even in the seat, you'll feel it a bit. But you wax the chain, and then the next time you go out, it's like the bike runs so smooth. It's amazing what it does. So obviously, the more chain maintenance is very important, because if you run a chain too dry, it wears out the chain quicker. But yeah, probably I'd say as a rule of thumb, average conditions where, you hit a couple of puddles, you get a little bit of dirt, you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Probably about every 100 miles or 160 kilometers is a good rule of thumb. But when you wax the chain, make a mental note of how the bike feels to ride. And if it feels really smooth to ride just after you wax the chain really good, and you go out, when you start, you'll start to actually get to know the bike. One thing I've said, it takes about 10,000 kilometers, about 6,000 miles or 10,000 miles, whichever you want to put in there first, to really get to know a bike, what it likes, what it doesn't like, and stuff like that. And I'm about halfway there. And for this bike, like when the chain needs wax, I instantly kind of know. But you feel it coming on, because it comes on very subtly, and then, because the chain wax wears away slowly but surely. But yeah, it's definitely something that you notice, and when you notice it, get a thing of chain wax. You can go through all of them. They're different chains require different lubricants. Some O-ring chains are you can't just put any sort of lubricant on it. So do the research of whatever chain you have. You have just a general chain like mine. Mine's not a fancy chain. You could get away with a lot more stuff. Some people just put motor oil on there, but that's really messy. But chain wax is nice because it's not as messy. It does mess up your back tire a bit. Believe it or not, the bike, I actually cleaned the bike with the pressure washer, and it's still got, let me show you. See, now you can see the first layer of splatters. Yeah, and this one's going to take a while. That bakes. The problem with the black bike is all the dead bugs baked to it. So, but the good news is it shows you that I ride the bike a lot. So it's like, Getting my mileage on this bike. This was ride number 27. My goal is 200 runs this year. But if you're going to go anywhere far, wax the chain. If you're going to, at least once a week or 150 clicks or whatever. If you're in a lot of wet weather, wax the chain. Dusty, dirty, muddy weather or muddy conditions, wax the chain. Clean the chain and wax clean the chain and wax the chain. How often should you actually clean the chain? By wiping it down. That depends on how crusty, like if you got lots of sand and grit built up on the chain, it's a good idea to clean it every time you wax it. Clean it, then wax it. If you wash the bike, wax the chain after. Got caught in the rain, wax the chain after. I mean, let it dry first, obviously. And there's a right way to wax a chain and whatever. But the idea is that you want to cover the whole chain, so there's a couple of ways you can do it. It's not rocket science. It's just, maintenance, a little bit of maintenance. So buy yourself some chain wax. Wax up like today I noticed it was a bit vibraty and stuff like that. And it also makes it feel too, with the chain wax, it also makes the bike feel a little bit more bunty at lower speeds. So when it's really smooth and everything like that, it seems a lot better. So it's very subtle. Like it's something that if nobody points it out, you probably won't notice it. But as soon as you wax your chain after you had a chain that was running dry, guarantee you'll notice it right away. It's like, wow, the bike got so much smoother. So you don't notice it when it's there, but you notice it when it's not there, and then that kind of becomes the metric of take a mental note of your the mileage as the bike becomes more vibraty. It's again very subtle. Like this bike is pretty smooth to begin with all around, but yeah, when the chains gets a little dry, you can notice it a bit more. All chain dry bikes are like that. There's no exception to the rule. If the chain's dry, it becomes rougher. It becomes a slightly more vibraty, rougher ride. But you wear out your chain and your sprockets a lot quicker when they're not lubed up. So just keep that in mind too. How much quicker? I don't know. It depends on how you ride. But it just makes a better riding experience, and smoother is better. Smoother is safer. So yeah, wax your chain often. All right. Have yourselves a great day, eh?